Hi to everyone. Welcome to Digital Learning. So today I would like to discuss the concept of selection process in the staffing chapter. So far we have been discussed the process of staffing and as well as the recruitment process and the segregation which comes under the recruitment. We have seen all these concepts very detailing, and today let me go for discussing the concept of selection process. So in previous class, we have been seeing the meaning of selection and how important the selection is. So what do you mean by selection? It is the process of identifying and choosing the best person out of a number of prospective candidates for a job. So in staffing process, we have seen so many concepts, so many steps already. So there in that staffing process, one of the important step to be recognized is nothing but selection of the employees. Selection of the employees, it is the process of identifying and choosing the best person here. So selection, it comes in the process of first recognizing the candidate among various candidates. That is like by providing them different types of tests and interviews, you come to know who is really best to perform the activities of the business organization. So here it is very clearly said that it is the process of identifying and choosing the best person out of a number of prospective candidates. So as you know, in the recruitment process, both in internal and external source of recruitment, they actually get a chance of recruiting the candidate with both the methods here. So from the both the methods, you will be having a number of candidates to attend the test and as well as the interviews. So this step actually it describes in a way where the best person is being chosen among number of prospective candidates for one particular job. So now let us see in this selection process, like how many steps are involved and how they are going to conduct these steps and what is the core concept of these steps. So now let me glance the points which are involved in case of the selection process. First one is nothing but preliminary screening. Preliminary screening, selection test, employment interview, reference and background checks, selection decision, medical examination, job offer, contract of employment. All these steps are completely involved in case of the selection process. So here, these steps are followed compulsorily, mandatorily according to the steps here. So here, these steps will never be shuffled, and here accordingly it is being done by the HR manager. So now let us see one by one what are the steps or else what are the process which is being involved in case of this selection process. So preliminary screening. What is the step? What is the process which is being involved in case of the preliminary screening? At once when the manager, when he goes for inviting the candidates to apply for the suitable job from various sort of sources of recruitment, they will be receiving lot of applicants from the candidates, those who are really willing to work within the organization. So at once when they go for getting the applications here, they just see that they go for checking the applications manually, and they really see that like whether the information whatever is being entered in that application, it is suitable to the requirement which is being needed by the organization or management. Now see, for example, we can say that is like for the accountant post, they require MCOM candidate with minimum 5 years of experience. All these information was already given in the advertisement, and now you expect MCOM candidate especially and who specialize in the financial accounting with minimum 5 years experience. And some of the candidates, those who have been completed only BCom, or else sometimes even the candidate who's not under the commerce background also would have been sent the biodata, would have been sent the resume here. So at that point of time, what happens? They go for eliminating the unqualified or unfit job seekers. It means that who's really not capable and who's really not suitable for the job. In the first step of the selection process itself, they go for eliminating these kind of candidates. Okay. So at once when they go for eliminating these kind of candidates here, and these application forms actually it never comes for these people, they never come for the next step here. They really eliminate and they just remove the application of people those who are really unqualified or unfit for the particular job which is being required by the management. So preliminary screening is nothing but this is the first step which comes in the selection process. They take a chance of glancing the entire information which is being provided in that resume, and just by going through that resume they come to know who has to be given a chance for the second test and who should be removed from the tests and interviews here. So this is about preliminary screening. This is the first step what we see in case of preliminary screening. And the next one is here, selection test. So selection test, it is one of the important second step what we see in case of selection here, selection process here. So without conducting any proper test, definitely no one can go for appointing any of the candidates for the organization. So varieties of tests is being conducted by the management to check the level of intelligence and as well as various concepts to see that whether that person is really capable and potential to work in the particular department or else in particular designation. So under the selection test, you have four types of tests. First thing is nothing but intelligence test. It is actually basically one of the important psychological tests which is being used to measure the level of intelligence. So these kind of tests are conducted by the HR manager to know or else to recognize the to know the intelligence test, to check out his intelligence within how will be able to manage the work activities in the organization and how he can go for carrying over the activities within the management. So all these things, that is checking out the person's learning ability and how he will be making challenging decisions and judgments when one sort of problem arises in the company. So all these things are checked with the help of this intelligence test. And if a person is clearing these kind of tests, definitely he will be selected for the job. And the next one is here, aptitude test. So all these tests are coming under selection test concept, which is the second step in the selection process. Aptitude test is nothing but it is a measure of individual potential for learning new skills. So just having a check over the concerned candidate whether he is having the potentiality to learn new skills in sense that is technical and professional skills, whether he is able to capture the new methodology of doing the work within the management. So this actually gives a complete information about the person where he is really liable to learn this new skill and whether he is really reliable to move forward for higher position or else for the higher jobs here. So aptitude test is also one of the tests where it is being conducted for each and every individual who comes for the organization for the interview to check out whether they are really possessed to learn new skills or not. So first step is preliminary screening. They just remove the unqualified or unfit job seekers. And selection test, in the selection test, we have intelligence test and aptitude test. Intelligence is to check the intelligence of making decisions and judgments. Aptitude test is nothing but just have a check over the candidate whether he's really reliable to learn new skills or not. And the third test to be recognized here, personality test. Personality test is nothing but actually it is conducted to know the person's value and as well as the person's intellectual character, his emotion side, his reaction, and whether he's really matured enough to tackle the toughest situation which is going to be arise in the management. All these things. So this test actually it is involved to check out the overall personality, overall personality of the concerned candidate. So it is not only checking only the intelligence, but also his personality in sense, his personal character, whether he's over emotional, over sentimental, or is reacting for small things. Uh, all these things, all these things will be checked out very clearly by the personality test. And the next one is here, trait test. So trait test is something where these tests are measured actually to know whether the person is really possessing or else whether he's really expertise in the profession and technical training. So trade test is something where the candidate who is attending the interview for the particular job, whether he's really capable and expertise in a particular profession and particular technical concepts. So when the management goes for giving training also, they will come to know through this test whether it's really potential, whether it's really reliable to capture the concepts of technical oriented method and as well as all the professional oriented concepts, whether he's really able to capture all these concepts. So whether he'll be continue with the work more intellectually, professionally, and as well as technically, even after providing the training process. So this is also one of the method which has been undergone in case of the selection test. And the last one to be discussed here, it is interest test. Okay, interest test which comes in the selection test. Interest test is something where for each and every individual, they go for conducting the test which is being concerned with particular subject where the candidate is really expertised and specialized in that particular subject. So every candidate will be having passion towards one particular subject. So here interest test is being conducted to know the involvement of a person. It is being conducted to know like how the individual is expertise extraordinary, how we can go for giving the extraordinary performance in one particular work. So interest test, it is being conducted to know the pattern of interest or involvement of a person. And now the next thing, first one is preliminary screening and second one is selection test. And the next thing to be discussed here, so interview. Employment interview is nothing but where a formal and in-depth conversation is being conducted to evaluate the applicant's suitability for the job. It is something where the employer and as well as employee, both of them, they go for making the conversations together. So employer, he goes for conducting an interview which is going to be completely formal and it is going to be in-depth conversation it is. And see that whether that person who has come for an interview is really capable to take care of the activities in the management or not. So here the role of the interviewer is nothing but to seek the information actually what he requires. So this is one of the method where they go for adapting to check the person's way of communication and as well as his patience when they go for posing the questions, how he goes for reacting, and to collect all the information which they can go for getting it through this kind of employment interview. So information which is being completely related to the interviewee, that is which is completely related to the employee. These information, it can be asked and it can be taken very politely from the employer. So first one is preliminary screening, second one is selection test, third one is employment interview, and the fourth one to be discussed here, reference and background checks. So reference and background checks is nothing but where employers request. So at once when the candidate is clearing all sort of tests here and he has been attended the employment interview, the next thing to be recognized here, the reference and background check. So at once when he goes for filling up that form and as well as clearing that test and as well as employment interview is over, he goes for providing, the employer asks the employee to provide some of the names of his friends, relatives, or his guardian, anyone, names, address, and telephone numbers. So this is specially done by bigger organizations just to have a check, just to refer whether the person is really coming from so and so place, and whether he has been completed his qualification in so and so university. So the person might go for giving, the candidate might go for giving the confidential person's number and address, so he can go for giving this kind of reference numbers to the management. Management will go for calling them and they will go for collecting all the information regarding the candidate's character and candidate's background. So this is the fourth step which comes under the selection process. And the fifth one to be discussed here, selection decision. So after undergoing preliminary screening and after considering varieties of tests, passing all the tests, and then providing the reference numbers, addresses, contact numbers for the verification. And the fifth step to be discussed in case of the selection process is nothing but selection decision. That is final decision which has to be made from among the candidates. In sense, the employer makes a very crucial decision here. That is, he just analyzes how many candidates have come for the interview, and through those candidates, how many tests and interviews they have been cleared, and they just have a check over the complete concept very clearly here. And then finally what do is that they go for selecting the candidate who is really worth to work within the organization. So final selection has been made, and who's really responsible, who is responsible or else who can be more responsible to work within the organization. They go for choosing the particular candidate. This has been absolutely done by the HR manager. He goes for verifying, analyzing, and scrutinizing, and finally he comes to a conclusion to choose the best candidate among the best. So fifth process to be discussed here, it is nothing but selection decision. And now the next thing to be discussed here, after the selection decision, you have medical examination and as well as job offer. The next step to be discussed after selection decision is your medical examination. So after the selection decision and before the job offer, so this point is to be noted here. After the selection decision, in sense that the candidate is selected by the manager and he is being approved that he is going to work within the organization. after the selection decision and before the job offer, that is before giving that letter of appointment in his hand, they need to take, they need to undergo a medical fitness test. So here, the candidate compulsorily he need to take the medical fitness test, because it is really good to take the medical fitness test, because if he goes for if he is having any of the issues regarding with his health, and if it is hidden, or else if it is not shown towards the management who's been recruited him, definitely it will create a very bad impact in the working atmosphere. So to avoid lot of risks and to avoid lot of consequences, the management cautiously they go for taking this medical fitness test for each and every candidate before offering the job offer or else appointment letter in his hand. And this medical fitness test, it is actually required for certain jobs where they go for having more manual work. So in these kind of jobs, they go majoritatively they go for conducting the medical fitness test. So after doing this medical examination, they come for job offer. Job offer is something where they go for providing the appointment letter in the hands of the candidate after clearing all sort of hurdles, after clearing all sort of selection steps and process, different things when he comes across, and finally when he's cleared with the medical fitness test, he gets the appointment letter in his hand. So appointment letter is something where it is the confirmation of his acceptance. It is the confirmation of his acceptance, and this letter actually it contains few details. What are those details here? It is nothing but on which date he can come and join in the duty, and as well as report to the duty. Okay, on which date the employee can report to the duty, and the complete details regarding the job and the terms and norms which has been involved with the employer and employee contract. So all these things will be written in that job offer. So this is one of the step which comes under the selection process. And now finally we have come to contract of employment. It is contract of employment. Contract of employment is nothing but where after the job offer has been made, okay, when you go for giving that appointment letter, the job offer in the hands of the candidate, and when the candidate he goes for accepting that offer, when they go for accepting that offer, certain documents, certain documents need to be executed by the employer, in sense that certain documents has to be given by the manager towards the employee. Okay, so one such document we can call it as what? Attestation form. What do you call it as? Attestation form. So attestation form is a record for future reference, actually. Attestation form. What is this attestation form here? It is nothing but where a written contract of employment is being done, and job title, duties, responsibilities, date when continuous employment starts, what kind of allowance he is going to get, and hours of work, and leave rules, and if any sort of sickness occurs, how many days he can go for taking the leave. All these concepts like disciplinary procedures, work rules, and termination of employment, and grievance procedure, if any conflicts arises, what kind of measures will be taken. All these things will be clearly intimated in that attestation form. So certain documents are really provided, and it needs to be executed by the employer to the employee. And this attestation form, it is completely inclusive of different sort of terms and conditions within the management. So when the employee comes to know about all these rules and regulation, he will act according to that. Unnecessarily, he will never go for quitting the job without any reason. So according to this, he can go for carrying over the activities within the business organization. So all these steps are coming under selection process. So just a glance, selection process, preliminary screening, remove the unfit candidate, selection test, they need to clear up varieties of tests there. For example, like aptitude, intelligence, trait test, employment interview, direct conversation between the employer and employee, in-depth conversation to collect all the personal information about the employee, reference and background check. So after clearing all these steps here, he need to give the name and address of one confidential person so that the management can go for calling them, contacting them, and they can go for having the uh, having a check, and they can come to know the personal character about the concerned candidate. Selection decision, manager takes the crucial decision over here where he goes for analyzing, and after scrutinizing he comes to know that he is the best and he goes for selecting. Next, medical examination. Before offering the job offer, they need to take up the medical fitness test so that they are really, so that the company comes to know that they are really capable, and without any sort of risk or consequence they can give him the job within the management. Job offer is nothing but appointment letter which is being given in the hand of the employee where he goes for accepting the job. Contract of employment is nothing but after undergoing all these steps here, he takes the chance of giving one attestation form along with the job offer. It has to be executed by the employer, which goes for revealing all sort of terms and regulations of the management, which is required to be followed by the concerned employee. So, hope so you guys have understood the concept. We'll go for connecting in next class with another topic.